Good morning, everyone, and welcome to A Moment of Hope with Upward Transitions. Today, we are very excited to have as our special guest Jessie Thompson, who is the Executive Director at Community Action Agency. Let's welcome Jessie and bring her on.
Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We're so happy that you joined us today, and we're excited to learn more about Community Action Center and the processes and mission and all the work that you do in our community. And we're very grateful for the expertise and how long Community Action Center has been active in our community doing the work that you do. So, Jessie, just tell us a little bit about Community Action Agency and how it was founded and how long you've been operating in Oklahoma City.
Sure. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. Community Action Agency was founded in 1964 as part of Lyndon B. Johnson's War on Poverty initiative. Here in Oklahoma City, we started around that time. I think it was 65 before we actually opened our doors. But the general idea was to provide a pot of federal dollars to a local community to fight poverty and let that community decide how those dollars should be spent. So every few years we do a community needs assessment and we do surveys and talk to the partners in the city like Upward Transitions, and we determine the best needs or the needs in the community, and we determine the top three. And then we use those dollars that we still receive today, Community Services Block Grant, to design programs that fight poverty. So,
is this grant your only means of funding, or do you have other avenues of funding?
No, we have a budget of around $25 million, and it is largely federal and state funded. We have a lot of different grants for a lot of different programs. Our largest grant is for Head Start, which is a preschool program for children ages 3 to 5 from low-income families. But it doesn't just serve the child. I like to say that's a whole family program because we really wrap the whole family in services to help raise the whole generation. Because as you know, and Upward Transitions knows, poverty is really a generational thing. It's not just one piece. It takes many pieces to help a family.
That's right. So you do these assessments every 3 years, is that right? Or
we do a big one every 3 years, but we have adjustments that we make based on census data and services that we provide and surveys we get from our clients every year. So we kind of tweak it a little bit every year.
Okay. So say in the last year, especially in light of the pandemic and everything that's occurred, what have you seen as the biggest needs that you're serving with your clients right now on a regular basis?
It's always a combination of income, education, and housing in some form or fashion, those top three needs. But the biggest need by far over the last year has been housing assistance. And we still have several partnerships with the city of Oklahoma City, city of Midwest City, and then we've used our Community Services Block Grant to help provide emergency rent and utility and mortgage assistance for those families that have been impacted by COVID. And we still have funds. A lot of those have ended for other sources, but we will have funds for that assistance through the end of September of 2022. So we'll still be helping families for a little while.
Yeah, because it's not like a one night fix. I mean, it is a process of trying to lift a family up out of these financial disasters that have occurred in
once
their
you get in
families.
a hole, it's hard to get out of that hole once you get in it. So.
That's true. So in looking at the cycle of poverty, do you see that as the main contributor to the needs of the clients that you serve?
Well, in the past year with the COVID money, no. Typically, it has been that way. We have a child who needs assistance. Well, why does the child fit Head Start? Because mom needs a better education or mom needs a better job. So we can attach lots of services to that family. But then the ones that come in for emergency rent, well, why do you need that help this month? Well, I lost my job. Well, why did you lose your job? Because I can't make it to work on time because I need transportation. It's really a case by case service that we have to provide. Every family is different. Every need is different.
Yeah. And we experience that ourselves here at Upward Transitions with our case management process, that you have to evaluate every individual or family and their particular needs and the best way to serve them and assist them in meeting those needs. So in looking at Oklahoma's poverty rate, which I asked this to most agencies because we want to know the opinions and the input of everybody that works in the nonprofit sector. Why do you think Oklahoma's poverty rate continues to be 5 percentage points above the national average?
Sure, it sure doesn't move very much, does it, year after year? The bottom line for me personally is the wage. There's a low wage problem across the board. The minimum wage here is, you can't live on that. And then even that's the bottom line, right? The hourly wage. And then, well, if I'm going to get a raise and I'm making $7.50, I only go up to $9. How much does it take to get to that $15 an hour that you really need just to make ends meet? So I think it starts with a wage problem, but then I also think there's some educational achievements that are lower that we could really encourage people to, even if you don't have to get that degree, go to a trade school. There are needs from plumbing and HVAC. I have a current need for maintenance workers. I mean, everybody needs those trades. And that may be something that someone can grab onto easier than going back to college. So I encourage anyone and everyone, education is the thing, that the key to stepping out of poverty.
Yeah, and those trade skills pay really good wages too.
They do. I know.
Yeah. So, it would not only provide them a life skill set to have and possess for moving forward, but they also would dramatically increase their income. So, that's definitely a great path for promoting with the clients as far as employment. So, in your opinion, how can we as a community impact the lives of those who are living below the poverty line or who are experiencing homelessness? As you know, the homeless population has increased.
Yes.
And I'm seeing the homeless people who are experiencing this homelessness in places that I've never seen them before.
That is true. Because there was a homelessness task force that the city had put together, and they've got a few ideas that they're putting forward to council next week. Homelessness is a huge, huge problem to tackle. As a community member, I would strongly suggest reach out to your local nonprofits that are trying to fight these battles day by day. See how you can volunteer. Time, talent, and treasure. I know we have needs. I know Upward Transition has needs, and we will never turn anyone away. So that's what I always recommend. Call somebody and see how you can help.
Yeah, and we're right there with you. That's for sure. We've been really fortunate. We've had several corporations and even church groups call us and say, hey, can we volunteer with you? Is there something we can come and help? And we're very grateful. And we've had many of our corporations step up and support us. And of course, there's been grants, some additional grant money that has definitely helped. But, the homeless population is growing. And, it's unfortunate. I think there's a paranoia too among the population in regards to, the vaccine and government. And so some of them, there is a percentage of that population that's reluctant to even accept help, other than just that need right there at that second for them. So there's some, mental illness and addiction issues too, of course, as we all know. There are multiple contributors to homelessness, not just one. So, and also today, wanted to know and share, maybe if you'd like to share how Upward Transitions and Community Action Center, how we collaborate within the community to meet the needs of these populations.
Sure. Well, we have been referral partners, I know, for many, many years, because you do much more direct work with homeless population than we do. Our services tend to take someone who's already housed and say, well, what can we add to those services to help get you a better job, or to help you buy a home, or what can we help your child get a better education so they're better prepared. So we've tended to go back and forth. I have a client that you need assistance with. Well, you have a client I need. Let's trade. What's his or her story? I have really experienced in the last year, just since I've been in this position, the nonprofit world here in Oklahoma City is really collaborative, and we don't hesitate to call somebody up and say, well, I can't help this person, but how can you help this person? We're all here to help and serve the community as best we can. And we all have that mission.
Yeah, and that's one of the wonderful things about Oklahoma City and the nonprofit sector here is the collaboration. You know, we're all on the same team here as far as meeting the needs of our community, and we do have an exceptional referral process of reaching out to other agencies in order to meet the needs of a client in case, you know, our particular criteria won't allow us to do it, because everybody has some stipulations wrapped around their funding. And so if there's something that we can't address, then we do try to find somebody who can. And Community Action Agency has been one of those partners, and we're very grateful and love working with you. And so, you know, we keep our moment of hope conversations brief, and just in closing today, do you happen to have a client story that you could share with us today?
I do. It's one from our recent annual report, and it's from a program that we don't often talk about. We have down payment assistance and closing costs for people who are ready to buy that first home. And we had this last year a wonderful lady named Felicia Brody, who went through our home buyer education workshop at the urging of her counselor, because she was just a few years sober and was living on Section 8 assistance here in Oklahoma City. And she did not have custody of both of her children. She was trying to get a home big enough so that she could have both of her children with her. And she didn't think home ownership was a possibility for her, but her counselor said, go see Community Action. And she worked with our housing counselor, Alejandra Martinez, who walked her through step by step. And we can provide up to almost $15,000 of down payment and closing cost assistance. And that can really help someone have a really, truly affordable home. And Ms. Brody, I'm happy to say, bought a home in Canadian County where her older child was already in school. So her child didn't have to change schools again. And she now has custody of both of her children, and she owns her own home. I love stories like that. And we have many, many, many success stories, but that was just one from the last year that when there were so many people struggling to make ends meet, we helped someone buy a home. So
yeah, and it totally sets them on a new path, and it gives them hope, which is the one thing that we, you know, talk about giving the clients is the hope for a different life and a better life. So that is a wonderful story. Well, thank you for sharing that with us today, Jessie, and we wish your agency well, and you and all the efforts and the work that you put into our community. And we thank you again for joining us today. And we look forward to touching base with you sometime in the future, and we'll catch up again.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, we'll tell everyone goodbye and see you till next Tuesday. We'll see you again. Thank you for joining us.